Hey everyone, my name is Colm and today we're going to be using our chair to do a little bit of stretching, a little bit of mobility work for the different joints in the body. It's not going to be a very tough workout in terms of getting your heart rate up or anything along those lines. It's going to be concentrating on very specifically moving the joints and using the muscles that will help strengthen up and protect our joints. So bring yourself onto your chair. Keep yourself comfortable on your chair at all times. If you need to sit more forward or more back at any stage, do. More importantly, keep the back comfortable, keep the joints comfortable as we move. Keep a nice and controlled movement. From that position where our butt is sitting firmly on the chair, we're getting our ankles moving, lifting up onto our toes and back down. As much movement into the ankles as you can. So again, we're starting at the bottom of the body, starting with the ankles, lift up onto the toes. Keep the muscles comfortable all around the lower part of the leg. Sometimes they can go into cramp when you go right up onto your toes. If that is the case, don't go as high. Less movement is always going to be a little bit easier. And remember that for all the different exercises we do today. Less movement will be easier. So if you have any pain in the joints at any stage, go with less movement. And if it still causes you pain, then cut that movement out. Lift and lower. Once more. And from there, bring the feet a little bit more together. You can stay a little bit up onto the toes and bring the knees out and in. Now, if the chair is getting in your way, bring yourself a little bit more forward. Keeping yourself as tall as you can at all times. So my shoulders are as high as I can above the hips. And opening and closing the knees. Again, the exercises that we're doing today are very specific. They're very specific for certain muscles. Here we're concentrating on those hip muscles. And a lot of the time throughout the day we don't work our hip muscles properly. We don't work them in a very certain way, and that's what we are trying to do today. Strengthen them up to help you through your daily life a little bit better. Let's bring in a little bit of a squeeze, but we're also going to bring a stretch. Push the knees together in the middle and push gently with the hands. Again, it's a gentle stretch. Keep the hip joint comfortable, so those hips need to be comfortable at all times. Pushing the knees wise, opening up the hips. When we bring them together, they get a little bit of work. When we pull them apart, then we get a little bit of a stretch. Once more of each. And bringing them back in. Let's concentrate on bringing the knee out, the leg out in front, or straightening your knee as much as you can. If you need to hold on to that chair, you then do. Straighten and bend, changing sides each time. Try and get your knee straightening completely. Again, if you need to sit out a little bit further, and you don't need to go high, you can just straighten it. Straighten. More importantly, get your knee straightening each time. Still sitting nice and tall, lower back comfortable in the chair. A lot of the time when we sit on chairs, we sit too far back and our back becomes rounded. Depends on the chair as well. Some chairs aren't shaped very well. Couches are very poor. So it's very next to impossible to keep yourself in a comfortable position, in a good position for your back on a couch, because you just sink into it and your back goes into a rounded position. Last one on each leg. And from there, let's step the feet out. Get them as wide as you can. And again, if they get in the way, move forward, stepping out. Big step, open up the hips. Once more, we're concentrating on the hip muscles here. And remember that the hips are the bottom of your spine. If your hips are weak, if they're causing you hassle, possibly injured, then your back will be affected as well. So we want that spine nice and tall as much as we can. Once more on each leg. Keep the inner thighs comfortable. And from there, now we're going to bring our knee to our head. Again, still working on the hips, but still a little bit of movement for the knees as well. So bring the knee towards the head. Keep your lower back comfortable throughout all of this. Again, this simple movement of bringing your knee to your head is very important. Still keeping our back nice and tall. Keep your breathing going as you move. And let's not get bogged down on our breathing. Just try and keep your breathing going. Nice big breaths if you can. Sometimes we will try and keep our breathing in coordination with our movement. But just remember to keep breathing because the back will be more comfortable. And this exercise is an excellent one to do very first thing in the morning to get the hips moving and to get the back stretching. And the knee as well will be stretching. You could actually do it before you get out of bed in the morning, and that can waken things up a little bit, because first thing in the morning is when we can be a little bit more stiff. Your hip, your back, whichever maybe might cause you a little bit of strain. Once more each side, and bringing it back down. Using our hands this time, slide yourself back a little bit into the chair if you can, and let's turn. So let's use the sides of the chairs to bring a little bit of rotation. So now we're starting to work our spine a little bit more. Up until now it's been below, it's been the legs, it's been the ankles, knees and the hips. Now we're concentrating on turning our spine. Nice and controlled. You can turn your head as well, although I'm going to keep looking a little bit more forward a lot of the time, just to keep in contact with the camera. But remember that your head is part of your spine, or rather it's on top of your spine. Your neck is part of your spine. So turn your neck nice and comfortably. Use your hands just to give you a little bit of movement extra. And keep that lower back comfortable. That's where a lot of our issues are usually, in that just above the hips and just below the ribs. So in that small of the lower back, that's usually where the problems are. Once more to each side. And this twist gets right up above the lower back as well. It's mid-back, in between the shoulder blades as well. Now let's get a little bit of movement a little bit higher. So let's get our shoulders moving. So let's lift them to the front and back down. Just basic shoulder movement. Again, remember what I said earlier, especially with the shoulders. The higher you lift, the more chance of them coming under pain. Bring them, if you have to, just lift them to shoulder height. Try and bring them back behind now. Let's really work our shoulders. If you never lift your arms above your head throughout the day, you're never really working your shoulder muscles. So start doing it a little bit more, provided it's pain-free. We need to be able to do these type of exercises. Stretch them back, lift them up. Nice and controlled movement. Notice how smooth it is. It's not a fast, jerky movement which can cause hassle, which can cause injury. It's controlled, and that's important. Not just to prevent injury, but it's an important way to move as well. Last one, stretch it back and lift it up. Let's get the neck moving. Tuck the chin and lift the chin. Full movement. Keep the neck comfortable at all times. Once more, we have to think, how often do we move our neck in this position? And if you have a history of any neck injuries, keep it comfortable at all times. Maybe don't look as high up towards the ceiling or to the ground. Listen to your body, listen to your joints, and if they're telling you that they're in pain, listen to them, because we don't want to force through any pain. We move in a comfortable manner at all times. Last one, and from there, elbows out to the side. Try and have them back in line with your shoulder. Have them a little bit lower to begin with. From there, bring them together and bring them back. If you can lift them higher, do. And now they're at the same height as the shoulders. Try and bring the hands, elbows back behind, keeping your spine nice and tall. Let's bring a squeeze at the front, hands and elbows and open up the chest. This is a great exercise to open up the front of the chest, so just the front of the shoulder. And keep it a gentle squeeze, it doesn't need to be forced. Nice and gentle. Last one more. And gently rest it down. Let's get a little stretch for those shoulders. We're still going to keep them moving. So from there, bring the arm across the body, catch the elbow and pull across. We're going to stretch our arms back behind and we're going to change every time. Across the body. Pull the arm towards you and bring it back down. Back behind, across. Feel that stretch into the outside of the shoulder. So in this position, your stretch is out here in that area. Pull across. Again, very important stretch. It stretches a lot of those shoulder muscles that cause us injury. They get a little bit weak, a little bit tight. So stretch them as much as you can. Nice and comfortable stretch. Last one each side. And we're still stretching them back behind, and that's another good stretch as well. And from there, now we're going to come up out of our chair. We're going to do a couple of squats. It's going to be easy squats. Squats can cause hassle in the knees if there is any knee injuries, especially the lower you go. But use your hands if you need to. Feet flat on the floor, and we lean forward and lift up. Back down, control it back down. Lift up and control it back down. Again, as I said, any issues with the knees, you can always just use those hands, and let's not drop back down all the way. Just drop your butt towards the chair, sit back and come back up. Keeping that back nice and comfortable at all times. But try and sit down if you can. Hands, or maybe you don't need them. The ability to be able to come up and down out of a chair. Again, hands are there for balance if you need. Use that chair to catch up. And the next time we lift, let's stay lifted. Now I'm going to turn my chair and I'm going to come side on. You stay where you are. And now we're going to work on a little bit of balance with the chair. So you had that chair for support. Let's go up on our toes. So like the first exercise we did. And the balance is when we're at the top. Use that chair if you need it. Fingertips. You try not to lean full weight on the chair. The weight is on your feet, on your legs, and you lift and lower. Let's try not to rest your heels back down. So what I want you to start thinking about is doing these exercises a little bit more daily. Could you do this exercise when you're waiting for the kettle to boil, or a different point in your day? So remember, we can start exercising, we can start moving and strengthening throughout our day. And that way we get a little bit more movement and we incorporate it into our daily routine. And rest. From there, we're going to start leaning forward over the chair. The hands are on the chair, onto one leg again, lift the leg back behind, and just bring yourself gently forward. Changing legs each time. Keep your supporting leg, the leg you're standing on, comfortable. You can bend it slightly. Keep the stretch comfortable in the back of the leg. The further forward you go, then the more stretch you're going to get. Keep that comfortable. Don't fly forward, otherwise that stretch can become too much and we end up hurting ourselves. Now usually when we're changing legs, the muscles get a rest. Now let's try and do it without changing. So standing on one leg, and let's lean forward and come back up. There's no rest, we keep moving. Hands on the chair for support. Keep your breathing nice and relaxed, move nice and slow. 2 more repetitions. And the longer we stay on that leg, the more we feel it working. Joints comfortable, ankle, knee, hip, lower back. Comfortable. Change sides. Lean forward. Doesn't need to be a big movement. The less movement, the easier it is. Even a small amount. That's just working on our balance. 2 more. Last one. We're going to change legs, change the exercise, and we're going to bring the foot out to the side. And we're staying on that leg, bring it out, straight out to the side. And it's okay if you move to the opposite side, so if your upper body goes a little bit off to the side as that leg comes out, we want to try not to let that happen, but it's okay if it does. Either way, we're working on our balance. Once more, bring that leg right out to the side, working on those muscles on the outside of the hip, and change to the other side. So remember what I said, the muscles that we're working in this video it's very specific. They mightn't be terribly tough, but they are very, very good for you, and they will strengthen up your muscles in very important ways. Last one. And from there, change legs again. Lift, if you need to move to one side of the chair, do, still using that chair for support. Lift the knee high and wide. Get as much lift. Now I'm getting my knee above my hip, because that's comfortable for me. Hip height is easier. Little movement, work with what you can. Keep the weight on the other leg. Remember, we're not just working this leg that's lifting, we're working on the leg that's on the ground. So that's getting tired. Once more. And move to the other side and change. Lift that knee high and wide. Keep that hip comfortable at all times. Sometimes those hips can make a click or certain noises like that. If it's pain-free, it is fine. Usually it's just a muscle rubbing against the bone, which is fine. It's not going to do you any harm as long as you're not doing a lot of that exercise. And last one. And I'm going to come back down onto my chair. So bring it back down onto the chair to finish off. From there, a little bit of stretching for the upper body and the lower body just to finish off. So let's bring our shoulders into an important stretch. Pull the arm across the body and hold that stretch. And change. Remember, these are important stretches for the shoulders, and they can help release those shoulder muscles if they're feeling tight. And relax. And now let's go with our hip stretch, which we did during the class. Sit back a little bit more if you need to, and bring the knee up. And just hold it there. Remember this exercise. If you take one stretch from this video, take this stretch and do it first thing in the morning before you get out of bed. You don't have to hold a stretch. You can move in this exercise. We're going to change legs. We're holding the stretch because we're finishing off our video, finishing off our exercise. So pulling that knee towards the head. And it's a very important movement to be able to bring your knee towards your head. Comfortable in the hip. And gently rest it down. Alright guys, that's all for today. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you feel the benefits. I hope you feel the looseness in the different joints and being able to move, being able to twist, being able to move your joints in the lower part of the body and the upper part of the body. And I will hopefully see you again sometime soon. Thank you. Bye bye.